Hi friends, welcome back to Brilliant Blue Reviews. My name is Heather, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you my review of the book that I just finished, which is Katherine Center's latest novel, The Love Haters. Okay, the first thing I have to say is I really don't like the new, very cartoonish covers that her publisher is putting on Katherine Center's books. I much preferred the old style of cover that she used to use. This does not capture the book at all, and I don't like these. I really wish they would stop doing these. They've started making her books very, very bright. Even the pages are dyed color, which is fun, but the books aren't like some crazy, outrageous thing, although there is a theme about chromophobia in this book and being afraid of color, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I gotta say that right off the bat. I don't like these covers like this, and I wish they'd stop doing that. Katherine Center is an author that I have really enjoyed. I've read a number of her books so far, and this is her latest. Again, though, also, I don't really like the title. They definitely use the title, The Love Haters, in the book and talk about that a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like it could have had a better title. And even the conversation around the title, The Love Haters, that they have in the book is kind of unnecessary and superfluous, and I don't know. So those aspects right away I don't like. But I did like the book. I liked the book very much. I didn't love it. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. So I'm going to give a solid 4 out of 5 to The Love Haters by Katherine Center. I would recommend it, especially if you have enjoyed some of Katherine Center's other books. This is another good solid entry from her. What was the last one? I'm trying to remember. The Rom-Commers. I would say I liked this better than the Rom-Commers, which I did do a review of that one too. I will link it up here. The previous book to that was Hello Stranger. I did not like that one very much at all. I found it very unbelievable. And then the one before that was The Bodyguard. And that one I really liked. So I would say I liked The Bodyguard and this one about the same. Now, prior to that, her previous 3 books, I would say before that, What You Wish For, Things You Save in a Fire, and How to Walk Away, those were the previous different style of cover where they were just kind of like paper cutout flowers. And those definitely had a pretty serious tone to them. And How to Walk Away was the very first book that I read by Katherine Center. She had 5 books prior to that, which I have not read and don't know anything about. So if you've read some of those older books, I'd be curious to hear what you think of them down in the comments. It includes The Bright Side of Disaster, Everyone is Beautiful, Get Lucky, The Lost Husband, and Happiness for Beginners. I want to say one of those, or maybe more than one, has been turned into a show or a movie on streaming or something. I might be wrong about that. But I started with How to Walk Away, which is a pretty serious novel. It's about a girl who gets in a plane crash and gets paralyzed. But it was very good, and that really turned me on to Katherine Center. And then Things You Save in a Fire was literally about firefighters, and it was pretty serious too. I did not finish What You Wish For. That one struck a little too close to home for me. And then starting with The Bodyguard, and now all of her books since, including this one, are still covering similar type topics and relationships, but they have gone a little bit lighter, I guess I would say, in tone overall. And this one is the same. Not that serious things aren't discussed and serious things don't happen in these more recent books, but they're not as serious as those 3 prior ones. Okay, so let's talk about The Love Haters. So the basic plot and premise of this book is the main character is Katie Vaughn, and she is a videographer, and she's kind of like a mid-level employee at a commercial video production company. Now, I could definitely relate to Katie because technically by having a YouTube channel, I am also a videographer. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually a retired teacher. I took early retirement from teaching because of an injury and the pandemic, kind of both. I've had a YouTube channel, not this channel, but my main channel, Heather Travels. If you haven't checked that out, be sure to check it out, which is a travel channel, which I started in June of 2018. So that main channel of mine is 7 years old. I retired in 2020 and I started this channel within the past year. So I definitely could relate. I've had to learn a lot. So has my son. He started his YouTube channel at his main channel the same time as mine in 2018 when he was very young. And we kind of learned how to make videos and do the whole YouTube thing together. He also has 2 channels and my daughter has a channel. So we actually have 5 channels in our family. But we've all had to learn a lot about the video creation process and how YouTube works and everything. Now, granted, what the main character in this book, Katie, was doing is a little different. She's making actually professional videos, you know, promotional videos, recruitment videos, things like that for her video production company. In her office, which she was based in Dallas, Texas, which is also where the author, Katherine Center, lives. She lives in Houston with her husband, her 2 grown kids, and the fluffy but fierce dog. Okay, so she's from Texas. And quite a few of her books are set in Texas, if not all of them. But Katie, the main character of the book, is a videographer working for this video production company in Dallas. Her immediate supervisor's name is Cole Hutchison. And her top boss's name is Sullivan. That's her last name. If they ever say her first name, I don't remember, but she's the head boss. And at the time that the book begins, everybody in the company is in danger of being let go or laid off. Sullivan has just recently gone through a bad divorce and she's kind of bitter and financial things and stuff like that, and she's cutting people left and right. And initially, Cole presents to Katie this opportunity to go and make this Coast Guard promotional video in Key West, Florida, under the guise of, I'm giving you a hand here, you know, I'm helping you out, this could be really good for you, hopefully if you do well with this, you won't get fired. He also knows that Katie has a YouTube channel and she makes a day in the life videos. She stays with people for 24 hours and records a day in their life, and throughout the course of the day, she interviews them about some heroic thing that they have done. So she's interviewing heroes. And up to this point, she has only done it with women, mainly because she has to sleep at their house and stay with them for 24 hours, and she didn't feel comfortable doing that with a man. Cole presents to her that interviewing this rescue swimmer for the Coast Guard in Key West, not only for the recruitment video that they need to make, but also she could make another video with him doing one of her day in the life videos. And this particular rescue swimmer that she's supposed to go interview and do this with was also already quite famous for saving Jennifer Aniston's dog, okay, when he was stationed out in California or whatever. So he said, if you can do a day in the life video with him, then you'll blow up, your YouTube channel will blow up, and your job will be safe for sure. Okay, so that's kind of how he sells her on it. Now, she's kind of at the point where she just doesn't want to get fired, and so she just says yes to everything. The complication arises when she finds out that the Coast Guard rescue swimmer that she's supposed to make these videos about is actually Cole's brother, Tom Hutchison, also known as Hutch. So she doesn't realize that it was actually supposed to be Cole that was supposed to go down there and make the promotional video. And Hutch is really upset that Cole didn't show up to do this. And that's a whole part of the plot that's complicated that I'm not going to give away for spoilers. But that's what the gist is. She goes down to Key West and she stays there for a period of weeks to a month. And she stays at this little colorful seaside motel with cabins that's run by Cole and Hutch's Aunt Rue. Okay, you find out later she's not really their aunt. The whole story behind how Rue and Cole and Hutch are all connected is a big part of the plot and is a serious part of the plot and something I'm not going to give away. But that's a whole big thing that is an important portion of the story. But the main thing is that Katie has to go down here, go to Key West, live here, go to the Coast Guard station, film this promotional video, and oh, what do you know, she and Hutch in the meantime fall for each other in the process of doing this, and it's pretty mutual. But then complications ensue, mostly caused by Cole. A whole lot of stuff happens. It was a pretty quick read. It's not a terribly long book. It was, with the epilogue, 302 pages. So a relatively short book. I read it fairly quickly. It was a good read. It kept me engaged. It was enjoyable. There's a nice mix of relationship stuff, her trying to keep her job stuff, you know, the whole rescue swimmer stuff. There's also all these other retired ladies, the gals, that live at the seaside motel that Rue runs. They're kind of a fun group. And then there's the complication that Katie, when she gets there, realizes that she has to be able to swim, and she doesn't know how to swim. And so Hutch actually has to teach her how to swim before they can do anything. And so that's a whole funny thing. And Hutch has a Great Dane whose name is George Bailey, and he's a rescue dog. And the dog is actually an integral part of the story. So if you're a dog fan, you'll like that aspect of it. There's a lot of stuff going on with all of the characters. One of the main themes of the book, though, which I thought was interesting, it was kind of off-putting at first because I'm like, I hope the whole book isn't just about this. But the way she wove it through, and it turns out at the end, I actually did like she included it. A lot of it is about accepting yourself and accepting your own body. And it's a backstory thing with Katie and what happened in her life prior to this, and how she's really gone up and down with her weight and kind of starved herself for a while for kind of a significant reason that you learn about, things like that. But there's this whole self-acceptance message that goes throughout the book that's kind of interesting. That is another aspect of the story. And then it's very dramatic at the end because there's actually a hurricane, and something pretty significant and intense happens at the end of the book, which is pretty major. That ends in the last chapter, in chapter 25. And then there's a pretty lengthy epilogue, which is nice and needed because it kind of wraps up every character's story in a nice way and kind of fills you in. So I didn't think she rushed the ending at all. I think it was a good ending. I thought the flow of the book was really good. Overall, I think it was well written and a good story. There was one little part where I was like, when Cole comes into the picture again, he actually comes down to Key West. And I was like, oh, I don't like how this is going at all. But thankfully, she didn't dwell on it for very long, and it got wrapped up and resolved fairly quickly. So that was the only thing that I would say I didn't like, was that little tiny bit of the story, but it ended up fine. So overall, I liked this book. I would give it 4 stars. It had plenty of funny moments, you know, where I kind of laughed to myself or chuckled to myself. It had some very sweet romantic moments, I guess. And it had some jaw-dropping, like, oh, shoot, like a few moments like that, too. So there was some excitement to it, too. So overall, a well-rounded book. It didn't make me cry, and I didn't, feel like, oh, I love this book so much or anything. So that's why it doesn't get a 5. But I liked it a lot. So 4 stars for Katherine Center's latest novel, The Love Haters. I would recommend it. I hope that you found this review helpful or interesting. If you did, please be sure to give me a thumbs up down below. And make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss any of my upcoming book reviews. And if you like movie reviews, I do a lot of those on this channel as well. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.